What's going on, guys? We're doing a telebroadcast. So in today's video, we got something a little different, as you can see on the screen here. We got the new formation of the Super League. Now, obviously, you guys understand, and I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm not a big soccer guy in general, or football, whatever you want to call it. But I'm not a big soccer guy, to be totally honest with you. So, but I know this is a big controversy in sports in general. My two cousins, who are my special guests, I got Liam, who you've heard before, and I got a new special guest, and my cousin Brendan, they're brothers. Brendan, you want to say a quick little something before we get this going?
Thanks for having me on the show. It's good to be able to talk about something that's extremely relevant in the world of sports right now and that I care deeply about. So this should be fun and kind of interesting.
100%. So yeah, that's why I feel like I wanted to talk about this, because as you guys understand, I am not a big soccer guy in general, but what I am a big fan of is sports. And this is beyond soccer. This has to do with sports. And I honestly I find this to be quite ridiculous in what these owners are doing. So pretty much, I'll just really a quick overview of what I'll explain what's going on here. So pretty much, if you guys haven't known, if you live under a rock and you haven't heard about this, there's this new thing called the Super League. And pretty much, I think there's 5 major soccer leagues in all of Europe. There's one like Italy, Spain, Great Britain, Germany. I'm probably forgetting another one, but there's a bunch of soccer leagues. And not from Germany, but for a bunch of like these top teams have all decided to make this one super league, and it's kind of supposedly destroying their individual own leagues. It would almost be like, in comparison, if like the Yankees, the Red Sox, and like a couple other big teams decided to make some big super league and leave everyone in the dust. Am I kind of correct in saying that?
So they're not disposing the domestic leagues, so those leagues that you referenced, the German, the English, the Italian, the Spanish. So those leagues won't be null and void because of this league being created. This league's being created to override the UEFA Champions League, which is the premier competition, European competition, where teams from all those leagues play in a knockout tournament to be crowned the best team in Europe, which is a prestigious title. So basically, these teams are upset that they haven't been getting money due to COVID and other issues, and UEFA, which is the governing body of European soccer, not allocating funds to them more and them having to qualify every year. So basically, they're tired of having to prove that they're good enough to play at the highest level, and they just want the money. So like today, Leeds United, members of the Premier League, wore warm-up jerseys that say, let me see if I can pull up a picture real quick.
It's like fans, like soccer's for fans or something like that, or this is a sport for fans. I think it said along those lines.
Something to the jet. Let me see if I can pull up Leeds' Instagram real quick.
But yeah, I mean, so I think we have to explain real quick too, because to many of my fans that don't watch soccer, pretty much how soccer kind of works is it's a little different than what we do in football, like American football. So pretty much what we do in American football is there's one league, there's the NFL.
And the back says it.
I think I got like a pretty good analogy for it.
Give it to me.
So like right now, if you look at think of just like in each country this happens. So just think about England for a second. We have like the NFL, then we have college, which feeds the NFL. So like D1, D2, D3. There's 4 leagues in English football. So or soccer. So basically, if you're the best team in Division 3, if you're one of the top 4 teams in Division 3, you move up to Division 2 next year, and the 4 worst teams in Division 2 football get kicked down to Division 3. And that works all the way up to the NFL. So say like Alabama would take over next year for the Jets or the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like those bad teams get dropped down and the good teams get brought up. Yeah. That's typically how it would work. And then so the best 8 teams or the best 4 teams in college football, which are like, it happens every year, but like you see every once in a while, like a new team will come into the top 4 and they'll get to play for the college football championship. That's basically like you get to go to the Champions League. And what these teams are trying to do, so like a college football powerhouse that's no longer relevant, like ours, that's like Texas.
Yeah.
Notre Dame
college would be like Arsenal. Okay. Right. So like they're not actually good.
They're in 10th place currently in the league.
Right. They just make a ton of money and they have like a lot of notoriety. So like someone like Clemson, who wasn't really that good until like 10 years ago, like they would go to the Champions League, but it doesn't give the chance for any other team to step up. So they've just made this league of the teams that make the most money, and it never matters how good you are. You're always going to get to play in this league that brings a lot of money. It just gives no opportunity for like the smaller teams that eventually will grow. Like all of these teams at one point were small teams, and they grew and they amassed these powers, and like that's why they're the big teams now. And they're just stripping away. They're like, okay, cool. Like it's like in poker, you've played this many hands, and you're like, oh, I have all the money at the table. Like I've gotten lucky so far. I'm done playing. I'm going home.
Yeah, I've heard that comparison as well. Now again, I agree with you guys that this.
Can I cut in real quick, Pat?
Yeah.
I really like that you brought up the American football system as the analogy there, Liam, because I think a lot of issues that the Europeans take, at least the native fans and fans across Europe take, is that it's really an Americanization of soccer. Because soccer doesn't have knockouts. Soccer is not there's no divisions, there's no playoffs, there's no final. Really what you see in the Super League, it's set up to play in 2 divisions with 10 teams each. And then they play basically divisional playoffs, quarterfinals, semifinal, and a final. So it's really set up almost like the NFL is now, with just instead of having multiple divisions, only 2. So I think the fact that these American owners who own United, Liverpool, and Liverpool are adding these influences from the American sports, which Europeans really don't want. They have a rich culture and history of sports being set up in a specific fashion, and I enjoy that the way that they're set up in England and across Europe. But I think that's also something people feel, is that a lot of the identity of the sport of soccer is trying to be taken away by people who have really no investment in the sport. They just have an investment in the financial side of these teams.
Right, and it really relates to the channel and like what Pat usually talks about, because I don't know if you know this, Pat, or if your listeners will know this, but like the owners of Manchester United own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The owners of Arsenal own the LA Rams. Like
Liverpool's owned by the Fenway Group, so the guys that own
the Red Sox. It's like, and LeBron owns like 10% of Liverpool too.
LeBron owns a majority of Liverpool.
So that's really why people are getting pissed off at like the Americans. It's just like you guys have money, sure, but like you don't have to come over here. Like we've been doing this with the same system for the last 200 years. And like just making it more commercial for the sake of it being more commercial and destroying like the fabric and history of what all these clubs are based on and all these fans love about it. It's not gonna end well. People are gonna boycott and stuff. It's not gonna happen.
I agree. You know what, too, honestly, if you think about it, like that's what kind of bothers me as well when you think about like European soccer like has its history. It has its way of doing sort of a certain thing. I think if we would flip-flop it, it would almost be like a similar way, like, you know, because in America we have, you know, football, and our football is like you have the playoffs, you have the Super Bowl, and this and that, and it's been going on for decades now. And it would be tons and tons of fans would be just as mad as I'm sure European fans are if like a bunch of European rich guys just bought some teams and then decided to like change how we play football and how we run like the entire system.
Right. If someone came in and then next year, like the Jags were in NCAA football and Alabama was playing pro football, people would be.
Or even it's like, think about it as combining the XFL and the Canadian Football League into the NFL, like adding them as a tier system, not even bringing college sports into it at all.
Like the AAF and all that.
Yeah, that would make more sense, to be honest, because college football is a little different. But yeah, agreed. Yes.
But I mean, I know I always slag off on City and Chelsea for being just clubs that have bought their success, but I feel like I don't like Manchester City, and like I don't like the way they went about making the club, but they built the club and they built a lot up. They've built roots in the communities. They've developed a youth academy. They're bringing kids from the greater Manchester area or from out England and setting up some sort of culture that is Manchester City, which they have not had for decades upon decades of just being unsuccessful, but they built something. And by doing that, they're throwing away all that rich heritage they've put so much money into building. And so like these teams have poured so much finances into building a reputation and a being rooted in the English game now. Like they're just throwing it away for money. Like you build these fans and these relationships up just to piss it away for money. Like where's the return on that investment? Like you've got all you could from us. Now you're going to say, fuck you.
Like that we're really going to talk about the Premier League mainly because that's what we know. And that's where most of the teams are from. There's 6 of the teams are from the Premier League.
Yeah.
But like Manchester City, if we're going to use just like the college football analogy, because everybody knows it, like they were in Division II college football in like 1999. And now they've won the league multiple times, and it's just because like they got money poured in, like someone bought their club and like took them to the top, and like that's awesome, right? but now no other team has the ability to do that ever.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're in this already elite club. Like, how you built your success, you're not making available for literally any other team in the world.
Yeah, and
exactly.
you know, I heard people talk about it too, where they're saying that like this whole top six shenanigans is ridiculous. Like I heard
it is Arsenal and Spurs aren't even in the top six this season.
Yeah, that's what the Gary Neville was saying. He was saying like how the hell can Manchester United or Arsenal or any of these teams call each other the top six when Manchester United hasn't really done well in the last like 8 years or whatever. Like these teams are just calling themselves like the top six or whatever. And it's really elitist because there have been teams. I believe like Leicester City was pretty good as well. Like there have been teams that have been better than them. These are just way better than them.
These are the teams that have the most fans, both in England, but mainly worldwide, that buy their tickets, that pay for the streaming services and stuff so they can watch all the games. And those are just the people that they just like said, fuck you to. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Like that's the value of your club. Isn't that like Arsenal? The value of your club isn't that you're good. The value of your club is that you have a ton of fans that you just pissed off.
And that your name is Arsenal. Like that's exactly.
And I'll say something too. So Liam and I have a personal connection with Manchester United. Our granddad, he's born and raised in Manchester, so that's why we're fans. It's kind of in our family. So my granddad grew up as a boy supporting United, trying to get into Old Trafford when he could. So to us, having not you really being removed from that, it's part of our family. Like Manchester United is something that connects us generationally. Like I know Liam does, but we'll talk with our granddad about teams past, like, hey, was this guy really that good? And we'll talk about things like that. And he'll tell us what it was like or tell us about different things. When you really remove Manchester United and even City from that city and you're no longer in the Premier League, you're erasing generations of history and connection. And that's the beautiful thing I love about sports, is that it transcends the sport itself. Sports become so much more when you have fans. When you have history, when you have culture, and that's what it feels like. This it really is. It feels like these owners understand what it means to people.
Sorry, I think someone's audio got a little funky, but no, yeah, I totally agree with you. And honestly, I mean, since we've been in this whole like weird time with COVID and stuff like that, and you haven't had any fans in any of the stadiums for the most part, and if you have, it's like at 25 or whatever % occupancy, it's like kind of made sports like a little dull. It's made it a little upsetting, like not looking at all the fans and the crowds going crazy. It's even, I mean, again, I don't watch soccer, but like I know just off of watching like videos and stuff like that, it's even more crazier in soccer when you have, them doing all their chants and everyone has like these almost like war cries and stuff like that. It's so like electric, and the fact that like, they are just screwing them over, just piss them off. Be like, all right, we don't care. And one thing before I go on to, I watched a quick little clip of this guy talking about, supposedly he had heard from an insider report about one of the like the owners of one of these teams saying that like they understand, they're not really that worried about the PR of this move, and that this is strictly just a move to make more money for a business. Like it was strictly a business decision, and that they're not really that worried about the fans. And I find that to be like total crap. I find it to be complete crap, to be honest with you, because again, like you guys are making your money. I don't know the exact dollar, right? But you're making your money, and that you're just destroying an entire like history.
Right. And even through the pandemic, they've made money. They've been able to take dividends out from the club, and all of these teams are making money. The teams that are struggling are the teams that don't have that like worldwide support, that need, like the teams in like Division 2 that need fans to come to the stadium, because that's how they make their money. Like no one's buying the kit for Queen's Park Rangers.
Yeah.
Like not even that, Liam. Not even just that, but like you think about, so it's in England, there's a pyramid system. It goes from the Premier League all the way down through like not even semi-professional soccer. Money's trickle down. Money that comes in from these teams trickles down and helps other smaller teams. And so by these teams potentially being barred from the competition because they're going to be greedy and leave to try to make more, they're hurting the game as a whole. Like they're not just hurting professionals, they're hurting guys trying to get into the game. They're hurting academies. Like you're destroying the game. And so the problem is when you have people who don't care about soccer or the sport owning clubs and making decisions purely based on finances and greed, you're going to destroy the sport. And Florentino Perez, the president of Real Madrid, and who's kind of seems to be heading up the charge on the European Super League, seems to really not give a shit. Like I saw one of his quotes this afternoon, and I took a picture of it, but I wanted to read it. Where is his? Oh, and he goes, we will just create our own World Cup. It's not a big deal. So basically, because players could lose the chance to represent their countries if they join this league, he doesn't give a shit. Like,
where is he from again?
He's the president of Real Madrid. His
and yeah, but where is he from? Like, what country is he from?
He's Spanish.
Okay, that's weird. So he's even more of a scumbag. Because that's my biggest thing that people have been talking about. Like, oh, everyone's getting very mad at these owners. Like you were mentioning the American owners, or some of the owners that are just super rich from oil money in the Middle East and stuff like that, who just don't really care. Like, I mean, clearly, I bet the owner, what's the Glazer guy that owns whichever one of these teams. I bet like he can give a rat's ass about any of these historical parts of this team, where it's totally different in the NFL and in America. Like the Giants have been owned by the same family since its like fruition. Like we've had the Mars and the Tisch family have both owned the Giants for forever, and it's been run through their family this entire time, and they have a deep care for their history of their team. And it seems like with you guys, especially in the EPL, like it doesn't seem to be like there's that sense of like caring about the history, especially with having these owners who are foreign entities who don't really care. So my big question is there a way of fixing that?
Well, for so long, like Manchester
United,
United, like initially it was Newton Heath, which was like a bunch of guys who worked on a railroad who decided that they wanted to play soccer together.
Yeah.
And then they continued and they grew, and then the club grew a little bit, and then they were in the first division. Sir Bobby Charlton. We were flying our players to a Champions League game in Munich in 1958, and our entire team died. And our entire team died, not the entire, but basically the entire squad died in the plane crash.
Yeah.
And we again built the club up, and then we had enormous success again in the 90s and early 2000s and stuff like that. Like there's so much history to just like you said, it's like a slap to the face to the history of the club. But like when you think about it, and this is a club that like I really love, and like learning about the history of it, I like have seen documentaries and stuff. It's like there's so much to this club. It's just like coming from railroad workers to now just getting the door slammed in our face. It just feels really bad. And as far as you were talking about like the PR spin, like this has been they've been working on this for like months and months and months, and there's no way that they push this out without having run some sort of analysis and stuff that just says like, hey, listen, like people love soccer, people are going to watch, it's going to work out dollars wise, and if it works out dollars wise, it makes sense. So for them, they like, again, like
they don't care at all.
Yeah, they're not soccer fans, they're businessmen, and like if that's what you want to do, I understand, but I'm gonna fucking hate you.
Yeah, quite frankly, like, I'm very aggravated that, and again, like I like at the end of the day, I hate to be rude here, but I really don't care that much about soccer. Just like I'm sure the people over in over in Great Britain could care less about football, or like our football. So or like the Giants, whatever. Like I understand that, but at the end of the day, what I do care about is I do care about sports, and I care about fans. Because honestly, like this is what kind, like these sports is what kind of like it helps us escape reality. And the fact that these owners are just being like, screw you guys, we can literally care less about any of you guys because we know at the end of the day you're still gonna watch. Like at the end of the day, we can all say like, oh yeah, stop watching these top six, whatever, yada yada. But at the end of the day, people are gonna watch it, and they're gonna make a boatload of money still.
Yeah, I had a question, Brendan.
Yeah.
Do you think like Americans will care, right? If like this actually goes through and they're saying what they're going to do is like ban players from the World Cup. Like we have no Weston McKennie. Leipzig's one of the teams that might get pulled up through the next 5 to be in this league. No Tyler Adams, no Christian Pulisic. Like a bunch of our players are just America's going to suck in the World Cup again.
So I can actually answer that question. So the players will have an escape clause out. One second, I can read a brief quote to you.
Do you think they get out of it though?
Yeah, such an outcome would also. Money. So listen, if it actually could, they would have less collective bargaining. They couldn't bargain for higher deals since they are barred from other competitions. Then, because if they could only play in that one league, like they're saying, they'd have to renounce. They would have to basically renounce whatever relationship to that league if they do join, in order to come back and be played. But they could be paid a lot. But like, why would they pay them if they can't go anywhere else? Why would they pay them more?
Well, I don't think other clubs will like lash out at the players like that. They understand the situation that these players are in. So like say, I mean, whoever, like a player from Manchester United, right? They're under contract. They go and play in the European Super League, and then they're like, you know what? Like, I'm done with this shit. Like, I don't want to play for Manchester United anymore, and they're seeking a new team. Like, they're gonna have to take less money for sure to go play for Leicester. But like
Yeah.
Jesse Lingard going to play for West Ham, like I do see that as like an option for certain players who like really love the game.
So to answer your question, it's if the Super League does come to fruition, here's the quote. Such an outcome would also bring close scrutiny of club teams to club terms. Clause 6.1.1 of standard Premier League contracts relates to the employer obligations and dictates that clubs should not do anything that stops a player from featuring for his country. It also states that a club shall observe the rules which are defined as the statutes and regulations of FIFA and UEFA and the FA rules and league rules. Meaning,
Right,
in theory,
but if they
club,
okay.
in theory, any club leaving those competitions would be in breach of contract. So players and agents will have the ability to terminate and to void contracts. If any of these teams officially join, all the players will have the ability to void contracts.
Is anyone gonna do that though? Like you can go to West Ham and be on like 80 grand a week, or you can play for Real Madrid. Like if you're Holland, you can go play for Barcelona for like probably like $1.5 million a week after this new signing.
So actually, I was gonna say this earlier. You talked about before your last little spiel there was a part. But so the German teams, there's a rule in the German FA or Das Polka or something like that. I forget DF. But anyways, neither here nor there. But majority of those clubs are majority fan owned. Like the RB Leipzig is the only team in the Bundesliga who has broken that rule, I believe, and that's why RB Leipzig gets so much hate in the Bundesliga. So RB Leipzig might be able to do that, but a lot of these teams like Dortmund and Bayern are majority owned by fans, which I love, and which I love them to bring to the English game, to bring control of our clubs back to fans, which is bringing control back to the communities that they represent.
Is that possible though?
I don't know how it would work or even how that would look. I mean, the Premier League and the FA would have an incredibly hard time in enforcing something like that, having someone relinquish control of an entity they own. So I don't know, but I would love to bring that to the English game.
Well, yeah, that's been kind of my question as well. Like, how do you think some of these players have been reacting? Like, I mean, obviously we're only a day into this, and I'm sure most players don't really want to say much until like things really happen. But I mean, many of these players are kind of like us, like super fans of these teams. They've grown up wanting to play in Old Trafford and such, and they've grown up wanting to play in all these stadiums and such. Like, how do they feel about this?
So, a lot of guys have been saying they didn't know about this until it was released yesterday. Like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the manager for Manchester United, had no idea about this until kickoff of the game yesterday. And so a couple players have come out. Patrick Bamford of Leeds had some words to say. So did James Milner. Bruno Fernandes from Manchester United had a comment as well.
What did he say? I saw that. What did he say?
He just said you can't buy dreams.
Ooh, what a quote.
Yeah, short and beautiful. But yeah, there's players out there with some opinions, which is nice to see that they don't really care. Like that they're willing to stand up for something that they just view as wrong.
Well, so now, okay. So now I just want to be like the proctor here. I'm like a counter argument kind of guy. Just my big question, because the counter argument to this is like, oh, what? Like you don't want to see the top teams play each other? Like you don't want to see that all the time? Like why would you not want to see a league of just the best competition? Because that's how we kind of have it in America. Like if you want to play the best baseball, you play in the MLB. If you want to play the best American football, you play in the NFL. For the most part, if you want to play the best hockey, you play in the NHL.
You play your divisional games all year, so you don't necessarily play the best teams all year long. And that's what the Champions League is for. And the UEFA is looking to restructure the Champions League and adding an additional 100 total games this season. So I think it's an additional 10 games for every team. It's under the Swiss model, so they'll add 36 teams from the now 32. Or they'll go up to 36 from the now 32. So UEFA is looking to add games to keep these clubs happy and to sate that financial appetite of the owners. And I understand it's a business. It's a sport and a passion for me, but for other people, it's a business, and you got to make money. So I get that.
But I think there needs to be a happy medium with this whole business idea. Because again, like I think that's a little bit too much. I don't like that excuse. Because like, yes, again, is it a business? 100% it is. But in the same time, like again, like the Giants, like the Giants, like to the Mara family, to the Tisch family, like yeah, I'm sure they like the fact they make millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm sure it is a business. They make a lot of money. But in the same respect, like Mara does his, yearly interviews, or like every once in a while he'll do an interview or he'll do some presser and he'll talk about like how he expects his team to win and like how much he cares about it and like how much it's been in his family and how much like it matters to him. So yes, is he benefiting from the money? 1,000%. But at the end of the day, it still matters to him about history. And I don't know how you're going to be able to do that when you have all these foreign entities who really didn't grow up watching the game and could really care less and just care about the business side. I think you guys are in a weird spot, and I'm not sure how you get rid of this.
Yeah, so like my thing with like obviously it's kind of like a free market thing, which I'm usually pretty for. But I think like in this specific instance, like the way Brendan was referencing it, like the UEFA Champions League already serves the purpose of bringing together the best in the world. And Jurgen Klopp, like Liverpool's manager, like he came out and said like there's something like romantic about soccer where like when you get to play Real Madrid for like that first time in like 6 years and you meet them in the UEFA Champions League semifinals, like that's like really iconic and you earned that. And like that's an awesome thing for your club to be able to do, to go play like one of the best teams from a different part of the world. And you have to earn that. It shouldn't, like, you have to qualify for the Champions League and then you have to beat all those teams. It's not like now where they're just handing out spots to the rich teams and not the good teams so that they can all play one another. And just doing that every year and playing Real Madrid like twice a year, playing Barcelona twice a year would take away from like the romanticism that comes along with like being in those games and being in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to touch on that too, like even as a fan, like I know Liam will remember this too. Like we've been lucky enough to make it to England and step out of walk out on the field of Old Trafford on a tour. We were both little boys, but like even as a fan, not even playing a game, you step on that field and you look around. You're like,
yeah, we stole blades of grass to put in our soccer cleats.
Fire. Yeah, we had tufts of glass and we had them in the bottom of our soccer cleats. So every time we step on a pitch, we'd always be stepping on Old Trafford.
Fire.
So like even if you don't ever get the chance to walk out at the Bernabeu, which is Real Madrid stadium, like what, like you reduce that novelty by having this league where you play every week and people then are just like, yeah, it's Arsenal versus Real Madrid, or Arsenal's gonna get their asses handed to them again because Arsenal's shit right now. I mean, if anyone's an Arsenal fan listening to this, I'm sorry, it's the truth. Excuse me.
But, no, and I understand that, but again, it goes back to my question: how do you fix this when you have managers and owners and stuff like that who are from?
Not the managers.
I didn't mean to say manager. I misspaced. But like owners who own these teams and who just care about the money, and they could give a rat's ass about winning and can care less about the history of the league. How do you fix that? Because that's where you're at right now.
I think UEFA and the Premier League and all the leagues take action like they said they would. They remove them from the Premier League, or if they sign papers and rescind on those actions, you relegate them. You strip, like if Manchester United got stripped of all these teams, United, Liverpool, Chelsea, City, and Arsenal, not Spurs. Spurs never won the league, losers. But they get stripped of their titles. Strip them. Take their titles and relegate them. Put them down a division. Put them at the bottom.
The real way to do it, in my opinion, would be like through legal action. Like they're preparing jointly, UEFA and FIFA, I read, like a $50 to $60 billion lawsuit.
Wow.
Involving a bunch of teams and a bunch of organizations. And I think if that happens, the Glazers, like the people in Manchester United, they don't actually have like the money that Manchester United is worth. They bought it on debt and they have to pay back loans and they take out dividends and they make a ton of money, but they do not have the $5 billion that Manchester United is worth.
Yeah.
So they, like, if they really get sued to death here, like they could be forced to sell.
Yeah.
And then we could do something where like it could be partially owned by fans like they have in Germany, like Brennan was talking about, the 51% rule. And that would be, I think, a great step for English football as well as soccer, as well as Spanish and all that stuff. Like that German system works. And that's the reason why Bayern Munich is not involved in this, because the fans wouldn't have it.
It's one, yes, but that So I think it was Jamie Carragher, a Liverpool legend, or Gary Neville, a United legend. One of them was saying that, like, I think it was Neville now that I think about it, but like Bayern Munich did that, and that's a team with tremendous amount of European history to that club. They're one of the most winningest teams in all of European history. So are you, Liverpool. Mainly, so Liverpool is. They're a European powerhouse from their hit throughout their history. United is as of late, not so much right now, but these teams have history and a culture of winning in the Europe and being dominant. Where is the class? Where is the dignity? Where is the kind of the honor of saying we know what it's like to win? We've worked hard to get to these points, and we've suffered, like Liverpool with the Hillsborough incident, Manchester United with the Munich air disaster. Like, you've suffered, you've been set back, and you've built. Where's your class in saying we want others to try and take us down? We want others to build and do something we have so their fans can feel what our fans have for the past 60, 50 years. And
It's
United Liverpool just said, fuck that. We're going to make money. Fuck the fans. Fuck everyone else in the leagues. We don't care if they get the chance to experience the highest of highs in soccer.
right. It's like like
It's
if they just said, like, if Jerry Jones signed some shit and like the Cowboys just instantly made the playoffs every year because they knew it was going to do fantastic ratings. Like, no one wants, like, I don't know, the Washington football team. Like, that's not going to do nearly as well as the Cowboys, or like Seattle even. Like, no, like the Cowboys automatically get in the playoffs because it's going to bring the NFL more money.
Exactly.
It's like that. Yeah. And like, as far as getting the teams back, like, I really think the only way to do it is through legal action. And like, I mean, we can continue to like harp on the history. Like, there's so much to get through, and that's the awesome thing. And that's one of the things I love about, one, Manchester United, and two, soccer. But it doesn't mean shit to the owners, so it can't mean shit in this equation.
Exactly. Because I agree with you too. Like, that's
where's the professionalism? Like, you're supposed to be a historic team. You're supposed to be the example of what people want to become.
You're right, dude, but they're not. They don't. And there's the problem. Therein lies the problem. They could literally care less because they didn't grow up. Like, I'm sure the Glazer family didn't grow up watching Manchester United, and like, I'm sure they probably didn't even care. They didn't remember all the times you were talking about in the 50s with that.
That was Joe Glazer. After 5 years of owning Manchester United, he says he still doesn't understand the offsides rule.
Yeah, exactly.
He got interviewed about like relegation and stuff, and he didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. Again, there you go.
It's tough to watch.
Literally, there you go. Like, there you go. Exactly. Like, the man doesn't care at all. He just goes, cool. This is my little pet project that makes me billions of dollars. I'll take this on the side. And all his
throw a little Goldberg quote in there. Joe Glazer, you're an absolute prat.
Yeah. So yeah, there I think lies the problem. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know where you guys go from here. I think the best way, I think Liam is probably right as far as,
it's going to be legal action.
It has to be legal action. There has to be some kind of legal action. I don't know what the law would be and how they'd get them legally, but it has to be legal action.
Well, all the teams are bound through agreements to be members of the FAs and the league. So the FAs and the league have a lot of these. So the governing bodies of soccer in these countries and the league bodies have a lot of power here right now. I believe it was either the FA or the Premier League was talking about taking actions by Friday if these teams don't kind of put out a statement or a statement of intent to not be a part of this. So action could be taken Friday, and United, Chelsea, and City and Arsenal could be removed from the Europa League and the Champions League semifinals if they don't back down. So, I mean, I know as a fan, I've really enjoyed this year. It's a good run in the Europa League, which is not really the place United should be at. But we're close to the final. It'd be great to win a trophy. It'd be good for Ali. It'd be good for the team. But, like, again, like the FA, UEFA, and Premier League and all these other bodies need to do what they got to do in order to preserve the sport.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on one last thing before we wrap this up. I just think it's also pretty gross, the fact that the fact that the timing is so weird. Like, it would almost be like, again, like if the NFL, like, we'll do an NFL comparison, right? It would almost be like, it would be like, like 2 weeks into the playoffs, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna be doing this. Like, you guys are still in your whole playoffs and your championship and stuff like that. Like, you're still into the tournament, into play. Like, you're not even in the off season yet. Like, I don't understand why they would do it now.
Yeah, I think the last thing that I would want to wrap up with, just touching on what Brendan was talking about, with like if we get kicked out of the Europa League and we get either deducted points or get automatically relegated next year, like I would absolutely love that. It's gonna suck. Like I would love to see Manchester United play Roma next week in the Europa League semifinals, but if we are still being involved in the shady snake shit, then I would love to see it. Great, awesome. Do whatever you want to us. Honestly, if they like, I was talking to Brendan. Like, I'm not sure I'll be continuing as a Manchester United fan until the Glazers leave.
Really?
Yeah, we've spoken about. I mean, so we're United fans, so our worst enemy is Liverpool, and so their other enemy is Everton. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So Liam and I have been discussing becoming Everton guys, and I love Everton, and that's another team who should be challenging for Europe, and they are challenging for European soccer and the continent this summer, or the Champions League, excuse me, this year. So like, it's another fuck you to more people. So I
But
want.
so what has your dad said? Because again, obviously you guys, I'm sure you guys all love it the same amount. But he's been a fan for much longer, obviously, because he's been alive for much longer. Like, how does he feel about this?
I haven't heard a take from Dr. Dad yet.
Oh no,
I haven't either. I think he's probably just
in
like
shock.
he's just like, oh word, I'll just stop watching.
Really?
I mean, I was texting Dad about it last night at Touch, Liam, and I'm probably gonna get off this call and go give Dad a call because because he was busy last night with some school stuff. So I was gonna call him and talk to him about that. But I mean, I think he'd agree with some of the things we've touched on here today, just about. I mean, this, Liam will agree with me on this about the class. That's a iconic father, no class or.
Yeah, I mean, our grandfather, like when Mourinho was our manager, and like our grandfather like didn't agree with the way or like the style we were playing and like the players that were playing, and he was like, I've just like I'm done watching until we play differently. Like it's shit. I'm done.
Really?
Yeah, and he started watching again.
Yeah, he's like, it's not United. United attacks. United doesn't defend.
Yeah,
and he was like, we play on the front foot, we impose our will on other teams, and that's not what we're doing. So I'll stop watching until we fucking figure it out.
Wow.
Yeah, like
a lot of people are like that, Pat. It's gonna get weird for United.
I'm really interested to see what happens with this. I mean, again, I will be like not really closely following, but I'll be following on the out, just kind of looking at it, talking to you guys and stuff like that.
Yeah, just to be clear, I still love all the players. All of them have my complete support and backing, whatever they decide to do. If they decided to stay with United or like go to different Super League teams and make a ton of money, I will respect them for that. I mean, it's their bag. They got to chase it. But again, if players decide to be like, you know what, I'm done with Manchester United. This is not the team that I thought I was joining. I want to go play for Leicester. I want to go play for Everton. I want to go play for Sevilla. I'll be like, good, more power to you. Do what you got to do. I have no problem with any of the players in this situation.
We've been talking about how the fans have really been hurt, but the players have been fucking blindsided by this. I feel so bad for them. No one's probably told any of this. They have contracts, they have families. I mean, they have a lot of money, so they're going to be okay. But this is their job. Some of them take care of the entire family.
Yeah,
like
right, Brennan. They were blindsided, and now they're handcuffed.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I feel bad for us as fans, and it hurts to see this. But then, just the disrespect from your employer. It's pitiful. Like
yeah. I mean, bite the hand of the guy that pays, bite the hand that feeds you, talk shit about the people who write your paychecks, or watch them or stand silently by as you watch them destroy something you love and has meant the world to you, obviously, if you're a professional soccer player. So that's your option.
Yeah, exactly. It's very depressing. Very depressing. And I'm just happy in general that America, because I'm trying to think, I don't really feel like American leagues can really do anything like this. I don't really feel like we have anything set up in place where we could possibly do something similar to this idea.
Yeah, they've already done it.
Well, yeah, but that's how it's always been, though. It's always been like a Super Bowl, like a championship, a playoffs, this and that.
Yeah, it's already like franchised and everything. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, American sports is designed to guarantee investments. That's why, like, to stick with soccer, that's why the MLS will never be structured as the rest of the world is, with relegation and championships. It's because everyone's bought into franchise.
Whoa, Brendan, your mic is messed up.
All right, 1 second. Does that work better?
Not really. Not gonna lie, you're a little bit roboty, but okay.
Shit. But like the thing with MLS, like so everyone's
Yeah, we just can't hear you.
Yeah, Brandon, it's becoming too worse, to be honest with you. We've been going for a pretty long time.
All right, I'll shut up then.
No, I hate to.
I tell me to shut up.
No, I hate to cut you off. I do feel bad, but it is crazy like how roboty it is.
Maybe Liam can elaborate on why with the like the,
Right, I know he's talking about with the MLS. It's never going to become what it has with England and all those other countries with relegation and promotion. One, because of the fan base doesn't exist, and just mainly because the history and the strata of divisions that have been developed just through time. Like it worked 200 years ago, but it's not going to happen in the MLS. And I don't know if that's what you're trying to say, Brendan, but I hope I wrapped it up for you.
With franchises, they're getting franchised. They're guaranteed money. Every like your franchise, you don't make money off of finishing based on what you generate and being in the league. So people aren't interested in being monetized by success. They just want to get to their bag that's guaranteed.
Okay, I think what you're trying to say. I'm trying to like listen to what you're trying to say again. You break it in and out, but I think what you're trying to say is these teams they just care about the money. They don't really care about the history or the sport at all. And if you think about it in general too, like when you grow up, most kids, and not saying all because obviously you two are obviously the exception to what I'm about to say, but most kids when they grow up and these athletic kids they grow up, they want to play basketball, they want to play football, or they want to play baseball or some kind of thing like that, like the top 3 sports in this country. It's not really big in this country, and it just hasn't been.
Agreed.
But yeah, I mean, all right, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming on. I think this was really nice, really interesting. It definitely probably like showed a lot of the people that I know will probably watch my channel, like what's going on. We get to talk about it, especially from a point of view that's not really from my point of view. Like I don't really follow it, I don't really watch it, nor do I really know much about it. But like we can talk about this, and it's very interesting. And again, even if you don't know much about it, what you do know is these owners are screwing over the players and they're screwing over the fans, and it's not right and needs to be changed. But again, I appreciate you guys for coming on. Brendan, I'm sorry about the audio at the end there for you, but you guys anything else to say before I wrap this up?
No, it was to be honest.
No.
Go, Liam?
Yeah, it was good to talk about. I guess kind of like get it off my chest. I just hope it gets resolved in some sort of way, and I don't know. I hope there's soccer on TV for me to watch moving forward here.
I agree. All right, guys. Yeah, thanks for coming on, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. And thanks. See you.